Good day, JCI members across the world. Welcome to the episode 2 of the JCI Sustainability Online Interview Series, an initiative of the 2026 JCI Sustainability Commission. My name is Michelle Lau, a member of the JCI Sustainability Commission representing Asia and the Pacific, proudly from JCI Hong Kong, China. In our first episode, we explored the foundation of sustainability and ESG. Today, we take a deeper step into one of the most important and urgent global priorities of our time, carbon neutrality, and the leadership required to achieve it. Across the world, governments, businesses, and institutions are committing to net zero emission. To guide us in this discussion, we are honored to welcome a distinguished sustainability and carbon management expert, Professor Thomas C.C. Wong, respected sustainability advocate, an international thought leader, and a licensed carbon management professional, actively involved in carbon neutrality initiatives and sustainability governance. Professor Wang has contributed to advisory committees and sustainability development initiatives, promoting innovation, education, and responsible leadership in advancing carbon neutrality. Professor Wang, we are delighted to welcome you to the JCI Sustainability Online Interview Series.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you for having me. First of all, Michelle, let me congratulate JCI for initiating this very important and this very meaningful work that you are doing here. I am also hoping that this episode would provide some useful ideas and tools to the JCI members or any audience that are watching this. So thank you once more.
Thank you very much, Professor. To begin our conversation, let us start with the fundamentals. Let me start with a question. For young leaders watching today, how would you explain carbon neutrality in simple and practical terms? What does achieving carbon neutrality actually involve?
Okay, Michelle, I was a JCI member before when I was young. So I know, being a JCI members, all of you are under the age of 40 years old. Some of you might know the carbon neutrality or the sustainability very well, but some of you might need a bit more information. So what I'm going to do to answer your questions is to do it in a very simple terms so that everyone can understand it easier. What I'm going to say is carbon neutrality is like managing your personal finance. Every one of us have to manage our finance. So we are talking about income on one side and expenses on the other side. We don't want to overspending. What does it mean by overspending in carbon world? In carbon world, when we say overspending, we are saying that we're putting out more CO2 to the atmosphere. This would not be sustainable, and this would not be helping us to have a better world for our future generations. So that's why we need carbon neutrality to help us balance our carbon budget. But first of all, what we need to do or what we want to do is to look at the biggest expenses, because I just mentioned that we're looking at this like a personal finance. The biggest expenses in energy would be the carbon emission. I mean, there are other items that we need to watch, but this is the low-hanging fruit. So that's why we need to watch our carbon. So that's why when we talk about sustainability, when we talk about a better world for the future generations, we always start with carbon or carbon neutrality. But Michelle, there is a myth. Many people believe that, we have to do this 100% perfect and emit nothing, no carbon at all. That is impossible in our current world. So carbon neutrality is about taking responsibilities for our entire footprint not achieving zero emissions ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. My second question is, many people think carbon neutrality simply means planting more trees. What are some common misconceptions about carbon neutrality?
Let me answer this question by giving you an example, a very simple example. Many of us want to do weight control. So we'll take our gym membership. We say, okay, we'll pay for 1 year gym membership. But after that, we would go to the dessert or cake shop and eat the entire piece of cake and feeling good because we think we just pay for a gym membership. But look, but think of it this way: paying a gym membership, if you don't go to the gym and work out at all, it doesn't help you anything. So planting trees to some extent is similar to that. I mean, plant trees, it helps just like paying a gym membership helps a little bit. If you go to the gyms, planting trees uh, cannot help everything. So it's just a beginning. But 90% of the work is about reduction. So that is, we have to avoid emitting carbon at the first place instead of, after we remit the carbon, then we say we plant trees. This is one thing. And the second thing is when we are talking about planting trees, it's not as simple as what we think. In many countries, you cannot just go and plant a tree and say, okay, I will take the carbon reduction from the tree and count towards my carbon offset. It doesn't work that way. Trees, it has to meet a certain requirement. For example, in China, it has to be trees that is planted, otherwise not there. For example, near the desert belt, no, normally no people would plant a tree there. And then if you plant a tree there, then this tree could be counted towards carbon offset. But it also has some other requirements. For example, the height of the tree, the type of the tree, whether it has other economic values. So it's not as simple as saying that, I plant some trees in my backyard and it's going to help. I mean, it is going to help a little bit. But if you are talking about carbon offset, then it might not work. So this is let me give you another example. People can say, I will go to the coffee shop every day and use a plastic cups, but then I plant trees afterwards. So the best thing to do is to go to the coffee shop using a mug, or you bring in your own container and put the coffee in there. And then you save a plastic cup instead of you use a plastic cup every day and then plant trees, later on. So I hope this gives you some ideas of what I'm talking about.
Thank you
Thank you.
very much, Professor. Why is the measurement and carbon accounting so important before organization attempts to reduce emissions? Why must we measure before we act?
Okay, that is a very good question. Measurement turns guess into a strategy. Sometimes we just guesstimate or, guess something. But this is not a strategy. For example, I'll give you another example. Taking the same example from just now, if you want to lose weight, you cannot just say that I want to lose weight, so I will do 100 sit-ups every day. You have to start with some measurement. For example, you measure the calorie intake every day and the activities that you do. And then you will come out with some uh, figures of what you have to do in order to achieve the result. Maybe what you will find out that it is not sit up that you have to do, it is not push up that you have to do. Maybe it's the 10 Coca-Cola you drink every day. Maybe you want to reduce that. So you have to do some measurement at the beginning. So this is something that you won't know until you do some measurement. So that's why measurement is so important.
Thank you very much, Professor. This is a very, very practical way of we as JCI members to understand about carbon neutrality. So, from a global perspective, what are the biggest challenge and opportunities for the world to face in achieving carbon neutrality?
Again, this is another good question. The biggest challenge is the gap between ambition and actions. I know, I was young once, once, so I know the young people, they have big ambitions. I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to achieve this, I want to achieve that. But when it comes to action, they meet many challenges, and then they're frustrated. At the end, they might give up. So we 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 would like we would need to bridge this gap between ambition and action. What we need is a standardized global rules. This can avoid green washing. I give you another example, a very practical example. Every one of us use a smartphone. Some use an iPhone, and some use a Samsung. Some use a Huawei. Different type of phones, and with different type of phones, we need different cable to charge them. Yeah, iPhone you might need a C Type C interfacing, or lighting, or the Samsung cable. The question is, does the technology exist to have a universal cable that is that fits for every phone, every smartphone? The answer is yes. The technology is there. I mean, there's a way that we have one cable and can use on every phone. So the question is, sometimes it's not technology. Sometimes it's more the political will and also financing. Because if you want to use a universal global rules, some of the members that are not using that type of rules, they have to spend money to change their system or the machines. And nobody wants to be that one. They want everybody to follow their own rule, and so that's why we have these challenges that we're seeing. Thank you.
This is a very, very good practical answer from Professor Wong. So, from a governance standpoint, what role do institutions, businesses, and also education sectors play in accelerating carbon neutrality efforts?
I think this is a question that is good for all the JCI members, because some of you work in governments, some of you work in educations, some of you, I mean, most of you are in business. So every one of us, every single one of us, can contribute onto this. For example, if you are working in the government, you can help the government to set rules and to give incentive. Just to give you an example, like the green building code, the government set the rules. This is what we call the green building. And if you meet this code in Hong Kong, you get 10% extra surface area for new buildings. So that is a big incentive. Okay, for the business or multinationals, we can drive innovation and execute sustainabilities into the product and into our supply chain. And for the JCI members who work in the educations, we are building talent pipeline. We're equipping young people with the skills for the green jobs. So all of us have to work together, because together we can amplify our results and achieve the biggest results for everyone. Let me give you another example, like the electric vehicles. We are seeing more and more electric vehicles nowadays. What we see is the governments, they create tax breaks. For example, in Hong Kong, if you buy an electric vehicle, you pay less tax. This is the government incentive. And then we need business like Tesla or BYD to manufacture and innovate cars. So this is execution. And then we need engineers to design the batteries. And so this is education. So you see here, we have the governments, the business, and the education to work together towards the same goal. Then we can achieve something. Then we can be able to build a better world for our future generations. Thank you.
That's very important for different sectors of the community to work together to have a better world for us. How can innovation, culture, and collaboration contribute to advancing carbon neutrality worldwide?
Okay. We are talking about innovation all the time. Innovation provides the how. For example, new materials. Innovations can bring us AI for energy groups. Innovations can bring us new carbon tracking software. But then we also need culture. What? And since culture provides the why, because innovation, we have the how, and now we need the why. So we need to share belief that sustainability matters, which turn passive consumers into active advocate. And then collaborations provides the scale, connecting the startup innovations with the corporation's supply chain to make a global impact. For example, Hong Kong will have a unique strength in its ability to foster all these three, bringing Eastern and Western markets and mindset. Recently in Hong Kong, the culture of Hong Kong shift away from single-use plastic ware for takeaways. And this is a form of social innovation driven by collective awareness, not just new invention. I mean, the new invention has been there for a long time, but we need the why, that is the culture. When everybody is using uh, 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 Tupperware instead of single-use plastic wares, then it becomes a culture. You will be embarrassed if you are the only one on the table that are using plasticware. I mean, it will soon become unacceptable. Unacceptable. So this is the how and why.
Organizations organizing conferences, community projects, or training programs, how can they reduce their carbon footprint in practical ways?
Okay, Michelle, let me give you a very simple and very easy examples because sometimes people think that, oh, it has to be very expensive. It's very difficult. We need a big corporations. We need experts to do this. No, actually, everyone can do this. Any JC members can do this easily. We have to remember three P's. One is place. The second P is plate, Plate, a plate. And then the third P is paper. Let me explain. The place means the venue of our JCI activities. If possible, we should try to choose a venue that is easily accessible by public transport, so that people don't have to drive their cars or travel thousands of miles to go to the venue. This way will help with the travel emission. So this is the first P, plate. And the second plate, Plate, or dish, we will do away with the single-use plastics. We use reusable plate so that we are not creating more plastic for the world. And the third P is paper. So instead of giving you 100 pages menu, why not go digital? I mean, we are doing this in many occasions already. But still, sometimes when we go to conferences, we still see paper. So why not one or two QR code on the registration card that we have? You scan it and then you have the all the information there, and you can bring it home with you. You don't have to bring paper because when you bring paper, when you get onto the plane, it's more weight for the plane. It use more, uh, it produces more carbon because of the weight of the paper. So it's very simple: place, plate, and paper.
Thank you very much, Professor. This is a very, very effective way for us to understand what is about carbon footprint. And I'm very sure that all of us will remember the three Ps that you've just mentioned. So if an NGO wants to begin its carbon neutral journey, what are the three simple and realistic steps it can start with?
Okay. Yes, since you're asking for simple and realistic steps, I will give you the simple and realistic steps. First of all, audit your low-hanging fruit. As we talked about just now, we need to do some measurements. So we have to audit our low-hanging fruit. You might say that, hey, you just say that you give me some simple and easy rules. And this is not simple and this is not easy. How can we audit our low-hanging fruit? It's very simple and it's no cost to you. Go to online and find some carbon calculators. They are free of charge. Many of them are free of charge. You go to the website. I mean, they're not 100% accurate, but you don't need to have 100% accurate answers. You need to have a ballpark figure to find out where your low-hanging fruit is. So first of all, you audit your low-hanging fruit by going online to use the carbon calculators to measure your carbon emission. And secondly, you make one visible policy change. Small change is okay. Baby steps. Just for example, uh, you can go to meetings and announce from now on, we don't use paper agendas or we don't use paper minutes. We'll circulate everything by digital means. So this is a policy change. Everybody can see it, everybody can feel it, and everybody can learn from it. And the third is to communicate your journey. That is, share your baseline and your goals on the social media. Tell people, before I have this small policy change, I have to print so many tons of paper every year for our meetings. But after I use this, we save so much trees in a year. And at the same time, the participants are happier because they don't have to carry so much papers with them back home from the meetings. So these are the three simple steps for any NGO to start its new carbon neutral journey.
Thank you very much, Professor. You know a lot about our JCI activities, and apart from having to minimize the use of papers during our meetings, how can young leaders of us contribute meaningfully to carbon neutrality efforts within their organizations and communities?
Okay, there is one word I hope everyone will remember, and this would help very much, and that is action. I mean, we can have all the ideas, we can have very good ideas, but if we don't take the first step, we don't do any actions, it means nothing. So we must take actions. But, you know, when I was young, I was thinking, well, I'm young, I'm junior. I cannot do that. I cannot take the actions. I need to wait for the senior, or at least the senior give me a title, so that I have the legitimate legitimacy to do this. No, when you're doing something good for the community, when you're doing something good for humankind, when you're doing something good for our Mother Earth, you don't need people to give you permission. You don't need people to give you a grand title before you can take actions. Just take actions. For example, you don't need a title to propose a sustainable procurement policy. I mean, the company, of course, have to approve this, but you don't need the company to give you permission to propose this. You propose this. If the company notice, they might adopt it, or propose to audit your office energy use. These are these are actions that is doable to everyone, and you don't need people's permission. What you are doing, or what we are doing, is this: we have to have the peer influence, making sustainability the new normal within our generations, all your generations. So people will see that, this is what we want to do. This is good for us in the future. This is good for our future generation. So why don't we do it together? When you go inside a meeting room, you see many plastic bottles of waters on front of every seat. So you don't need permission to change that. You just simply show up in the next meeting with a large glass jar of tap water and a stack of reusable cups and say that, I thought we would try to cut down the waste. One small personal actions set a new visible standards for the whole group. And in the next meeting, I think they will be embarrassed to take out a plastic water bottle again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. Let me try to do that as a first model to bring my own glass bottle to our meetings. So
Congratulations. That would be good.
thank you very much. So if you can share one leadership message with young people across the world about their role in achieving carbon neutrality, what would it be?
Okay, just now I gave one word, action. And now, according to this question, I I also give one word, and that is now. NOW. Do it now. Do it immediately. Don't wait for tomorrow. Don't wait for next week. Don't wait for next year. Do it now because it's something that is very simple and very easy. You don't have to wait. You don't have to wait for the perfect time. You don't have to wait for the grand title. Just do it now. So when we want to change something, we have to start with the small steps as well. Sometimes it just start with small conversations. For example, Michelle, you and your friends together may say, "Hey, maybe next meeting we would not use plastic water bottles." You know, this plant the seed in your JCI members. And the next time when you go to meetings and when you bring your own uh, thermal or glass bottles, the other members understand and they will support you. And then they will do the same the next time. So do it now and do baby steps is okay. So thank you.
Professor Wong, thank you very much for your valuable sharing and insights and the expertise with the JCI global community. Today's discussion reminds us that carbon neutrality is not just a government target, it is a leadership mindset. It requires awareness, accountability, measurement, and responsible action. To JCI members watching across the world, carbon neutrality begins with small but consistent decisions. As you reflect on this episode, consider how can we measure our impact? How can we reduce emissions in our events and projects? How can we educate our communities about responsible carbon management? Let this conversation inspire meaningful action within your organizations. On behalf of the JCI Sustainability Commission, thank you for joining us. I am Michelle Lau from JCI Hong Kong, China. Until our next episode, let us lead, connect, and evolve for a sustainable future.